So apparently there have been reports coming out that Final Fantasy XVI, the current PS5 exclusive, created by Square Enix of course, sold very poorly on the PlayStation 5. And I wanted to take a look into this because I think the game is fantastic. I think it's one of the best Final Fantasies I've played in a very, very long time. And in my personal opinion, it is one of the best Final Fantasies. Yes, the combat is more Devil May Cry than it is Final Fantasy, but the combat itself is fantastic. And let's be honest, if they'd have made another turn-based Final Fantasy, they would have been criticised for basically just creating the same formula over and over again. So I do give props to them for changing it up. Now, when you consider that Final Fantasy XVI is a temporary exclusive to PlayStation 5, which in my personal opinion was a big mistake by Square Enix, considering that Final Fantasy 15 was released on both Xbox and PS4 at launch and then ported to PC. Final Fantasy XIV, thankfully, is no longer going to be locked to PS4 and PC. Is also coming to Xbox One, which is great. Well, One X, you know what I mean. And Final Fantasy XVI will eventually come to all consoles, which, well, maybe not the Switch, because even hopping back on it to capture this footage, which is basically I've completed the game, and this is just a point in the game that allows you to go back and complete all the side stuff that you didn't do, and there are tons that I haven't done. The game is really good. It has a lot of side quests, it has a lot of monster hunts, there's stuff to craft, there's so much to see, there's so many dialogue options. The game has plenty to offer, so please give it a go if you have a PS5. I hope you won't be disappointed. It does start off a little linear, but the game does open up, trust me. However, with the sales of it, when you consider that the PlayStation 5 player base is around 40 million, which is a hell of a lot of people, the game only sold about 3 million, which 3 million copies sold of a game is fantastic and should not be knocked. I do think that if it was released on, obviously, multi-platform, it would have sold a lot more, of course. I do think that Square Enix were hoping for a lot more sales, and I think that's just down to their, I don't know, wishful thinking, I suppose, because although Final Fantasy XVI is a fantastic game, that does not necessarily mean that because it's a PS5 exclusive, everyone with a PS5 is going to want it. I mean, I think it's great, but that's just me, each to their own. Not everybody likes every game, and hopefully when it releases on Xbox and PC, more people pick it up. I did pick up a PS5 to play Final Fantasy XVI. Do I regret doing that? Yeah, a little bit, because I mainly play my PC more than anything now, and my PS5, although I did have it on last night and I was playing some God of War Ragnarok, and I'm munching through that game and I'm enjoying it. It is a bit samey for the first game. It does kind of feel like a DLC, but it is a good game. It's not a bad thing. It's, you know, the first the remake God of War was really, really good, and I am enjoying Ragnarok, but unfortunately my PS5 doesn't get turned on all that much. It will when Spider-Man releases, of course, and when other PS5 exclusives come out, but a little part of me does wish I waited for a PC release, but then you can never tell, because usually ports from a Sony console to a PC don't always end up working all that well. But Final Fantasy XVI is definitely not to be sniffed at just because it sold 3 million copies. 3 million people is a lot of people, you know, 3 million copies, especially here in the UK, like 60 quid, 60, 70 quid a copy. That's a lot of cheddar, you know, that is a whole lot of cheddar. And I don't think that in any way it should reflect the quality of the game, because the game was released pretty solid. There were some frame rate issues, I think, with the performance mode. I played it on the quality mode. I don't mind playing console games locked at 30 frames per second. That does not bother me one bit. You know, I grew up with PAL games in the 90s, so the lower frame rates do not bother me at all in the slightest. Doesn't excuse the fact there were frame rate issues. Square Enix should have, of course, had that sorted out at launch. But they have released some free updates with some additional things added to the game, and there are rumours of substantial DLC coming in the future. So hope, because they want to incentivize more sales. Of course they do. I don't think they're going to be bringing out Final Fantasy 17 for a good long while, so they want to kind of prolong the life of 16. However, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth is coming out beginning of next year, so that one will definitely get played on my PS5, as again, that one's just PS5 to start with, which again is so silly. It's just ridiculous. Why bother? All the other Final Fantasies are on multi-platform now. Don't do that. That just seems really bizarre to me, you know. But yeah, it didn't sell poorly. It didn't sell as much as Square Enix would have liked, of course. But the game was received very well by both critics and fans. There are some people that the game's not for them. They find it too linear, and the game is just not Final Fantasy-ish enough for them, and that's cool. I completely understand that criticism, and you know, I hope that they go off and find the RPG that they are looking for. But yeah, please let me know in the comments down below if you've picked up Final Fantasy 16 or if this is one that you've missed because it's just not for you, and thank you for watching.
Ready, go? Run like the wind.